What's up, kings? What's up, queens, for the first time? The topic for today's video is digital minimalism. It's a book that just came out by author Cal Newport. He's been one of my favorite authors pretty much since I was in high school. And Cal Newport is one of those authors who is like a one idea author. He talks about one idea right at the start of his book, and then he elaborates it, and he basically builds your emotional understanding or emotional intelligence on that topic over the course of that book. And this has been true for all of his major texts. In Deep Work, he basically says, do deep work deeply without interruption, several hours every day. He found that most people can only do about 4 hours of effective deep work every day. And if they can do that, then they're really more effective in their creative output than 90% of society. Another book, So Good They Can't Ignore You, basically talks about how you shouldn't focus on following your passion. You should just focus on developing skills and building up competence, because passion and true expression comes from developing competence, not just being passionate about the subject. His newest book, Digital Minimalism, is also a one concept book, and then he spends the majority of the book talking about this idea about how costly it is for us to spend our lives on all of these digital platforms, on social media, and all kinds of media use. It's been talked about before, but he brings it to light in such a powerful way. There's this meme that was on Reddit. I don't know why I keep bringing up Reddit on this channel, but there's this meme on Reddit that was making the rounds several years ago, and it basically is this really terrible cartoon of a stick figure on one end, his goals in like a rainbow on the other end, and then there's a cavernous pit in the middle, and it says the internet. Which is to say, the internet is the main thing that could help us manifest our goals and help bring our dreams to reality, because it has all the information, all the tactics, and access to all the connections that we ever need to become successful in life. And it also is the source of all of our pitfalls to such a profound extent, because if you can't work deeply, if you can't work without completely pared down concentration, you will never be able to hit your great potential in life. I think it was Blaise Pascal who said that all of humanity's greatest problems lie in man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. And that really is more prevalent than ever today. So I'm just going to go over a few passages that I really liked in Cal Newport's book, Digital Minimalism. Here's what he says. Willpower, tips, and vague resolutions are not sufficient by themselves to tame the ability of new technologies to invade your cognitive landscape. The addictiveness of their design and the strength of the cultural pressures supporting them are too strong for an ad hoc approach to succeed. In my work on this topic, I've become convinced that what you need is a full-fledged philosophy of technology use, rooted in your deep values that provide clear answers to the questions of what tools you should use and how you should use them, and equally important, enable you to confidently ignore everything else. Long before Henry David Thoreau exclaimed, "Simplicity, simplicity, simplicity," Marcus Aurelius, who I just talked about in a video on Stoicism, he said, "You see how few things you have to do to live a life that is satisfying and reverent." Digital minimalism simply adapts this classical insight to the role of technology in our modern lives. People don't succumb to screens because they're lazy, but instead because billions of dollars have been invested to make this outcome inevitable. Cal Newport goes on to talk about how really we label these technology overlords of ours, the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, these great Silicon Valley magnates, as these nerdy heroes who are bringing all this innovation to light. But in a way, they're like old school tobacco farmers, and checking in on the likes on your Instagram page, and checking into how many subscribers you got in the last hour on your YouTube channel. That's like the new cigarettes. That's the cigarettes of today. And that point really hit home for me, because I had sort of been struggling with this phenomenon recently, where my channel has sort of been, I found myself being really pulled into checking in on my YouTube channel like every 10 minutes, or looking on Social Blade to see how many subscribers I'm getting, and I realized that I'm really missing out on my greatest value in life, which is my spiritual strength, if I'm constantly going externally. And at this point really meant something to me. What is digital minimalism? It is a philosophy of technology use in which you focus your online time on a small number of carefully selected and optimized activities that strongly support things you value and then happily miss out on everything else. A digital minimalist tends to be incredibly wary of low-value activities that can clutter up their time and attention and end up hurting more than they help. Put another way, minimalists don't mind missing out on small things. What worries them much more is diminishing the large things they already know for sure make a good life. There are 3 principles that Cal Newport talks about with regards to digital minimalism. The first is that clutter is costly. Every new app that you make a part of your life, or every new blog that you consistently check in on, is one additional reference point that takes away from your deep productivity. And so the first principle is to get rid of the clutter. Look at your screens, look at your desktop, look at your mobile device, and recognize the apps that are really draining your energy without giving a lot of value in return. I went through my phone just today and looked at all the apps that I was checking in on, and I decided to get rid of most of my social media icons, my Snapchat, my Facebook, and my Messenger. The second principle is that optimization is important. For the apps that you do choose to keep on your devices, look at them, look at those apps or programs, and decide very consciously how you are going to use them. And the third principle is that intentionality is satisfying. Digital minimalists derive significant satisfaction from their general commitment to being more intentional about how they engage with new technologies. This source of satisfaction is independent of the specific decisions they make and is one of the biggest reasons that minimalism tends to be immensely meaningful to its practitioners. There's so much talk today from the likes of Gary Vaynerchuk and such about the benefits of using social media, and I completely agree that social media or the digital platforms that are meaningful to you are really awesome in their ways, but Cal Newport guards against the pitfalls of really letting these technologies get the best of us. One of the upsides of Twitter, for instance, is that every once in a while you can have a great conversation or a great connection with someone and share meaningful ideas with them. But the downside of that is that being an active participant on Twitter might cost someone about 10 hours a week. Is making that new connection every once in a while really worth 10 hours of focused work of your life? If you look at your life in terms of the value of each minute, generally speaking, chances are there are better things you could be doing with your time than to be a really active manager on Twitter. And these companies spend billions of dollars to make these programs as addictive as possible. So rather than just coming up with short-term gimmicks about giving up social media for 30 days or deleting apps on your phone, Cal Newport argues that one should actually consciously decide what their new philosophy of technology is, what applications provide the most value to them, and how they intentionally plan on creating a relationship with them. And this is certainly something that I'm going to work at implementing over the course of this next month. If you're new here, my name is Nikhil. This channel combines Eastern spirituality with Western productivity, and it really is for those people who have an artistic expression or a creative expression that they want to manifest alongside their life's work. And so some of the things I like to talk about are esoteric concepts such as the law of attraction, but also tactical concepts that really could help embolden your efforts. If that appeals to you, definitely consider subscribing. If you liked the video, please leave it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to connect with me further, you can follow me on Instagram. And with that being said, I hope that this video was useful and that we can use some of these concepts to really tap into more hours of deep work and do more meaningful work with our day. That being said, I'll see you guys in the next one, and thanks for 10,000 subs, guys. Thanks so much. Cheers.
Bang it down, I like the way you work it, baby.